Evening, everybody. I think you're on now. So, with that said, I just wanted to give you a little nightcap, a little little nip snip. But my West Coasters, this is their evening. It's 7, 8 o'clock. So, depending on what city you are in, what part of the world you're watching from, you are getting this when you're getting this. But I tell you what. Not going to be long tonight, I don't think, unless God has something different to say. But I just wanted to just encourage you into your next week. This is ending the first month into your February. And it's going to be, if it was a bumpy start, but I'm telling you, it's going to get better. Good evening, Ronnie Cook. How are you? How are you? It's so good to see you. I'm telling you, just a little nightcap. I was just a little solemn. I'm trying to tell you, y'all, what is going on with police brutality? I can't handle it. It's overwhelming. Overwhelming. Um it's still a lot more to know, and we're not going to have everything unless you're one of those people that look up the report and want to look up all the details. I think the more details we see, the more painful it is. And we just finished in the summer. I came on live to talk about Teal and how the mother, she wanted to just personally grieve, and she was empowered to actually start a movement. And one of the first things that she decided to do was to let people see what happened to her son. And, you know, I have a squeamish stomach, and I can't watch I can't, the gore. So I'm not a horror movie person. I had an opportunity to be in a horror movie last year, and I turned it down, hands down. No, I just don't like it. It's just eerie. So to have to look at these images and to hear the play-by-play reports, and I can't. And it's tough because my dad is a cop. My dad is a cop. So it's hard to have family conversations when we have these type of events, because he sees it from his perspective, and I get it. But I just want to know, why are people overwhelmed? There's got to be an answer, and you know what that answer is. There's got to be an outlet so that you can release that tension and that pressure. And then what is going on inside of you that is causing hate? I'm like, what in the world is really going on? What is really lying inside of you? What is the stuff that's causing an angst, that's causing depression, that's causing anger, that's causing this hostility? What is it? And we've got to deal with it because it is standing in your way. I did want to see these boys dealt with. Every officer. I want everybody dealt with. I want to see everybody dealt with. But then it pained me to see that these kids are young, fairly young in their careers. And so you took this oath, you went through the academy, you did all of this. You have the opportunity, when you're a public service you have a public service job.
I got my first
You get a on a lunch break. Hang on, y'all, my music is flipping on me. So you get an opportunity to get breaks on your housing. If you buy a house, the city's gonna generally give you money depending on what city you live in. Like, what is your issue? And then I said, God, you got to tell me something, and you got to show me something in the Bible. I got to find a word that connects with this. And he took me to Joseph. And Joseph's brothers, they hated him for no apparent reason. This dude was the favorite. And you know, y'all have siblings. I'm an only child, so I know what favorite feels like because I'm the only child. I get the love. I get the attention. But when you are in a family and you have siblings and there's always that favorite, mama and daddy never deals with that one. They never correct them. They let them get away with stuff that they won't let you get away with, that kind of situation. These boys, they conspired thinking they're going to kill their brother. Now, what in the world is going on in your mind, in your heart, in your process that makes you think you're going to kill somebody so that they're no longer an issue? Did they think that they were going to get more love from their parents? What did you think was going to happen? And so here Joseph comes full of the word, full of vision, full of God, God speaking through him. He can speak a thing, he can dream it, and he can speak it, and it will come to pass. It'll happen. And they didn't like his gift. You got oil from God. It's right here in Genesis 37. God has blessed you. God has kissed you with a gift. You're powerful. You're anointed. You can do the unseen thing. You can speak something in the atmosphere and it takes place, and we don't like you. And our parents love you. The reason why he was the favorite is because Israel, or Jacob, he loved Rebecca. He loved it. He loved her. Woo! And it's something about a child that is made in love. Someone said to me, your mother and father did a good job having you. I said, thank you very much. I was made in love. I was created in love. My parents, they're not together now, but they tell me that when they were getting together, they were in love. And I'm a product of that. So here's Jacob. He is a product of love. And his parents love him. He's the favorite. And so the father, he decides, here you go. I'm going to put on this coat. And they hated the coat. They hated the garment. So they decide that instead of killing him, Reuben says, we don't want to be charged with a murder. But what we will do is we will put him in this pit, this simulated well. Usually this pit would hold water, but the well was dry. So they just drop him in a hole and leave him there to die. And so they decide that what they'll do is they'll kill a fatted calf. They will get the blood from the animal and dip a piece, rip the coat, dip the coat in the blood, take the piece of the coat to the father and say, the animals killed him. The animals ate him. And this is what we have to show of what happened to him. I'm telling you that when you read that Genesis 37, you'll find out that down the road, he gets out of the pit, he moves on, he lives in the house of Pharaoh, and he becomes the prophet. Then he's put into jail. His story is amazing. I don't have time to tell you the whole story, but if you read it, I tell you it's going to bless you. He ends up going from a pit to a palace, and in the end, he's able to circle back years later to his father, who loved him so dearly. Then he turns around and forgives and loves the brothers, the ones that left you for dead, the ones that wanted to put you away, the ones who wanted to get rid of you. They wanted your presence to be extinct. So what would happen when you came around would no longer happen. Maybe they would get some of that shine. Maybe they would get some of that glory. Maybe they would get some of that connection. And it never happened. The thing for you tonight and to take into your week, I don't care who doesn't like you. I don't care who has it out for you. I don't care if people are after you, if people are slanderizing your name. I don't care what's going on. I'm telling you that there is a God that sits high and looks low, and he is looking over your case. He is looking over your situation, and he sees and he knows and he's hearing the conversations that are being had about you that aren't so great when you're not around. I want you to know that in this year, God says that you are covered. He says, I got you. You are covered. I don't care what tries to come your way. I don't care what the enemy tries to pull this year. You are covered. You have somebody that got your back. How do you know? Because if you, my God, the moment that you have the opportunity to just have a conversation with him, he will hear that conversation and he will cover you. He will cover it. The things that you are concerned about, the things that make you scared, the things that cause you to be apprehensive, you have a system in place this year. That system is the oh my goodness, the system is God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. It's a system. It's a power. Listen, it's difficult to not feel something. If you're not feeling something, when you hear of a tragedy that takes place where it feels like it's someone in your family and you don't know the people, you got to check that. Because the enemy wants you to be desensitized in this hour. And there is nothing normal about death. There's nothing normal about heinous crimes. There's nothing normal about brutality. There's nothing normal about it. And you should feel a way. You should feel something. And if you take it to your life and your situation and whatever may be going on in your life and whatever you may be experiencing, you got to know that there is a power that is bigger than the circumstance, that is bigger than the situation, that is better than what your idea is of how to handle. Oh, I'm gonna handle it myself. Let go and let God. You got to let go and you got to let God. You got to let him move on you. You got to let him move on you. See, if we speak truth to power, we stand up for what is moral and what is right. But it is time to speak truth to power to yourself. You've got to find yourself in your mirror this week while you brushing your teeth, while you combing your hair, whatever it is that you do, or just stand there in the mirror and speak truth to power. And you got to call your name and you got to say you are called. You've got to say you are the one. You are chosen. You are selected. You are wealthy. You're no longer broke. You've got to speak truth to power to yourself. You got to stand up for what is right for yourself. Sometimes it feels like you don't have advocacy. You don't have anyone in your corner. You don't have anyone on your team. But I am telling you that there's someone greater that wants to be on your team. And interestingly enough, he has a playbook. He has the beginning and your end already mapped out. If you get with his program, if you get with his playbook, then you'll start to unlock everything else that has been waning. The things that you've been waiting for, God hasn't unlocked it. You need it unlocked in this season. The things that are inside of you have to come forth. I know you feel like I've done a modicum of success or I've already done that, so I'm good with it. No, God might not be done. He might not have finished with you yet. You might not be the finished work that you think you are. You might need to let him put you back on the potter's wheel and begin to carve out the new. He wants to make something new out of you. He wants to do something new through you, probably something that's already sitting inside of you, but there is a point of release that has to take place. And he is your covenant keeper. He is going to be there with you. He is your ram in the bush. He is your silent partner. He is your silent investor. He is right there waiting. He's right there with you. He's having the conversations with you. He's seeing you when you're in your quiet time, when you are alone. And the way that you feel on the inside, that you can't find the words to speak it out of your mouth. But if you just release it to him, he has the ability to comfort you. He has the ability to shift the thing that's bothering you. He has the ability to bring the zen or bring the peace or bring good energy, as we like to call it. There is a movement of meditation going on in our culture. I was in the store and I see the magazine right there, and the lady sitting there, you know, with her fingers this and her legs crossed, and the whole cover of the magazine says something about whatever, meditation. Okay, I want you to get quiet, but I want you to let that quiet and stillness offer a living God into that space. Let him minister to you. Let him speak to your heart. Let him get in your mindset. It's something in psychology called classic conditioning. Classic conditioning is when you continue to do the same thing over and over again. you do it succinctly. It's a cycle. And the more that you do it, there's an expectation that comes from repetition. So the more that we can get quiet, not releasing everything and letting our mind be open to anything, but the moment that we can get quiet and still and seek God and let him speak to us, that's the moment when we get the answers. That's the moment when we get brand new revelation. That's the moment that he is about to give you the one thing that you are missing to unlock fantastic, to unlock enormous, to unlock abundance, to unlock the unseen thing. It's part of faith. It's there, but it's in the stillness. It's in the quiet. It's in your peace. You've got to get the peace of God so that you can move succinctly through the rest of your year. That peace is going to give you clarity. The peace is going to give you the wisdom that you need. The peace is going to give you the part that is missing from that business plan. Because we have to go from where we are to where we need to be. It is said between 2025 and 2028, AI will begin to replace what we do. So what you do with your hand or your skill set. See, some of you have been operating out of an old paradigm and it has kept you up until this time. But as things shift and as things change, you have to continue to ask yourself, is what I do able to be done by intelligence? And if you find yourself at the answer of yes, then you know that it is time to shift. There is a place of shifting that has to take place in you. And that shifting has to start to happen right now. And it's not going to happen by osmosis. It's not going to happen by way of what you feel in your soulless realm. It's going to happen by way of the spirit. It's going to happen by way of you being able to hear what God is saying and being able to be obedient enough to do it. Being able to take a step or take a leap without knowing, but knowing that there is a net there to catch you. There's something there to catch you in the end. So just because it feels like you walking on clouds, he's got a foundation under you. And if you don't feel it, if you fall, he's there to catch you. You're going to have to do something new. You're going to have to do something strange. And most of all, you're going to have to change. You're going to have to shift your thinking. Because there is more for you, my brother, my sister. There is more. And I know that you've got this thing down to a science. You got it on autopilot. I get it. And I know we are the entrepreneurs, want to be, what do they call them? The millionaires, sleeping millionaires, making money while you sleep. We want that. I get it. You get something working and you kick it into autopilot. It should be running like a machine. I get it, but not you. You can't beat a machine. You've got to be resurrected What's in you needs resurrection. What is inside of you, it needs resurrection. What does that mean? Resurrection means that it's something coming to you, bringing something back to life that is dead, resurrecting. Things that are lying dormant inside of you, it needs resurrection. The things that you had to wait on because you had to get the kids all the way out of the house, it needs resurrection. That business that you have been dreaming and thinking about, and you're looking at it from out of a window in an office that you just, I don't know how to get out of this cycle. I don't know how to go from being a 9 to 5 person to being a entrepreneur. I don't know how to do it. I'm telling you, you need a resurrection. You need the power of God to hit your spirit, to hit your mindset, to wake up the sleeping things that are inside of you, to wake up the drought, to wake up the things that you packed away, to wake up the things that you said, oh, I don't do that anymore, or I did that when I was young. I used to be so-and-so when I was young. Now I don't do that anymore. God has something in it. You got to go back and check it. So this week we're going to get quiet. This week we're going to find out. Am I going in the right direction? Am I doing what it is that you need done? Hey, my sister Cooper. What is it? What needs to shift? What needs to wake up? What needs to be spoken to? You are no longer in a pit. I'm telling you. When you go back and read this story about Joseph and his brothers, it'll tell you that his brother Reuben, he didn't want to kill him. He secretly wanted to help the brother, while the other ones were just awful. Let's kill him. But here's the thing. Even Reuben is in between two places, because he wants to still be down with the brothers, but he knows what they're doing to the one is not right. So he teeter-totters. He teeter-totters. You got people in your life that teeter-totter. They talk with people when they're not with you about you. And then when they're with you, they love you. They're friends with you. You know, teeter-totter people. They right in the middle. They right in the middle between the porch and the altar. They got their foot on one side and the other. They just, you don't know. You don't know. But I'm praying that this week, God is going to show you people. He's going to begin to reveal people to you. He's going to give you the wisdom for you to know. Don't go that way. I know y'all usually meet for coffee on Thursday. Don't go this week. I know y'all do brunch on Saturdays. Don't go this week. I so wish that that young lady that went to Mexico with her so-called fake friends, and she never came back home, even her boyfriend left her. Baby, I'm telling you, this is a season where we're going to have to move in discernment. We got to know where we need to be when. There is more for you. But I'm telling you, you are dealing with an enemy that is pulling out all the stops. He'd rather try to put you in a pit. He'd rather try to kill you than let you be who God has intended you to be. He'd rather damage you then let you move in the things of God. There are people that are watching you. There are people who are paying attention to you, who know that if they follow you, that they'll change too. You never know who's paying attention to you. And so when you start to switch up, you mess them up. This is why most leaders lead people to God. We're supposed to lead them to God, because if we lead them to us, we may cause people to tremble and fall. We may cause them to stumble because they'll see some of our humanity and then they're like, oh, well, I thought. So if it don't work for her, then it definitely won't work for me. No, it's going to work for you. It's going to work for you. You've got to figure it out. It is time out for holding people accountable, for holding people in a place where God is no longer causing them to stand. The thing is that we don't like change. This flesh doesn't like change. And I'm sorry, but for you to gain what is for you in this year and beyond, you've got to change. Everything about you has to shift, because you've been doing the same thing too long. You go to work the same way every day. When there's another route, you are, oh my God, you can be pinpointed. You can be followed. The enemy knows how you move. You got to switch it up. Well, she always leaves late. She needs to leave at 8. She leaves at 8:45, and she's driving like a speed demon. But yet, you have future. You have a destiny. And here somebody comes to clip and cut you off. You move the same way. And when you move the same way consistently and constantly, the enemy can figure out your rhythm. You got to change your rhythm. Change your music. If you want to change your rhythm, change the music. Change the tempo. Switch it up. We got to shift. We got to move in a brand new way. We've got, I don't know who you are listening to me at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time or 8:30 Pacific. I don't know, but I'm here to tell you, whatever it is you're doing, you need to switch it up. You need to change your rhythm, because you are being marked. You are being watched. My God, I'm telling you guys, there is more for you in this season. More, not less. There's more for you. And I'm not talking about stuff. I'm talking about things that matter. Sustenance. There's more wisdom coming to you, because you have a body of people that listen to you. You may be a teacher, whatever you do. You may have a business. You interact with people on a daily basis. You need wisdom, because sometimes people don't get it from a church environment. Sometimes their church is you, because you play Christian music in your establishment. That's it. That's all they get. And so you got to have wisdom, because you are empowering someone somewhere with your presence, with your je ne sais quoi, the way you show up, the way you comb your hair. Every time you show up, you are empowering somebody, you are inspiring someone. But sometimes they watch you first, and then there's something inside of you that has to be shared. There's more for you in every area of your life, but the areas that matter. You're going to get smarter and wiser. You're going to be financially sound. You're going to be set. You're going to become the owner and not the renter. You're about to have lease agreements, people signing with your company, not you having lease agreements. I'm praying right now that for some of you, the house that you are renting, the owner is going to see fit. I hear this. The owner is going to see fit to allow you to buy that house, even if it's owner financing. I hear that there's liquidation coming. The commercial property that you rent and lease for your business, it's a sale transaction about to happen for you. Be prepared. Get ready. Not just your personal credit, get your business credit in place, because then you'll have more leverage. This is not the year for me to church you to death. I can pray and prophesy and tell you what God is saying. But then we've got to get into the marketplace, because the marketplace is where we need to operate in this hour. I can't just get you ready spiritually and you be so full of the Spirit. And then when you get to your Monday through Friday, your Monday through Saturday, you're powerless. I remember when I first got in, see, there was such a transition in my salvation story. It was a hard shift for me because I was coming from such a different world. And God had to strip me so that he could use me, only to put me back so that he could use me. But I had to spend so much time focusing on being stripped and broken that I spent a lot of time being deep and spiritual, but in the marketplace, I couldn't operate. I couldn't function in the marketplace. I couldn't function well. Initially, it took time. You don't necessarily need to leave your industry. You're needed where you are. Evangelism is the new pastoring. Evangelism is big. Evangelism is good. Evangelism says that I'm going to take this woman out to lunch once a month. And then after several months, and I've gained a relationship with her, I'm going to offer her Christ. And I'm not going to break her down. I'm not going to tell her, I'm not going to try to skin or scale her before she's caught. I'm going to tell her about the love of Christ. I'm going to tell her about how he changed my life. I'm going to tell her how he shifted me. I'm going to tell her about the parts that were hard. I'm going to tell her about the times when I fought him. I'm going to tell her that even now and even still, I have my days. I'm going to tell her that the tempter is not going to stop tempting her. I'm going to tell her that there's someone greater than her situation. I'm going to tell her that there is one man that can be trusted, that you can become vulnerable with, that you can tell your ultimate truth to, and he'll still love you and he'll still care. It is time for our evangelism to move in the marketplace. It's not just enough for us to just show up. It's not just enough to invite people to our environments. I think so often when I have a service in person, what's that going to be like? Because I know so many people from different walks of life, and they're not going to understand the hollering and the running. And my folks that like to holler and run won't understand me standing up and just teaching. I said, whoa, this is something. How do you invite people from all walks of life to one spot? And everybody gains something out of the atmosphere and not be turned off. That's a God thing. But how do you show up in your own space, in your own sphere of influence? How do you show up? I'm telling you, this Joseph, y'all got to read Genesis 37 this week. That's the work this week. Go back and read that thing. I love the story. We know it, some of us. But what's so interesting is this dude, he was unstoppable because the hand of God was on him. This week, I want you to go out of your way to tell people who you love and care about that you don't see on a regular basis. Tell them you love them. Tell them why you love them. Sometimes we hang up the phone and say, I love you. When I talk to my family or my parents, I tell them I love them. But I talked to my godson the other day, and he calls me and he says, we talk almost every day. And he always says, love you. Love you. And I say, I love you too, bye. And so it was impressed upon me to call him back and tell him why I loved him. And I told him how he was the apple of my eye. And I told him how he was raised, and when he was a baby, how I would wake up with him at 5 o'clock in the morning and read to him. I would read his Bible book because he has a biblical name. So I would read scriptures. I would take chapter by chapter and I would just read it to him because he would wake up for that 5 o'clock feeding. And I would speak over him. And I told him this. And I told him that he was covered by God and the hand of God was on his life. But don't take it for granted. And I told him that I loved him again. And he was like, wow. And it hit different. You need people in your life to know why they love you to the point where it hits different. Because we take it for granted. And I feel tears for that mother that has to bury her son because a group of men had a hate inside of their heart. And it did not end well for her son. Keep those families in your prayers. Keep justice in your prayers, because justice still needs to prevail. Because you're not just going to put up the melanated people and miss everyone else who was involved, who you have not called to the carpet. Shifting has to happen in you this week because you're going into your second month. And I decree and declare that you will not be at the same place at the end of this year that you were on January 1. But the work is in you. The work is for you. The work is coming through you, and God is with you. Father, I thank you for these, your people. Those who will be watching the replay, is Genesis 37. Give us and give them the revelation. Unpack it for them, for their situation, for their lives, and let them find themselves in the text this week, God. We thank you that we are the Josephs in the text. We will win no matter what happens to us, no matter if we get thrown in a pit, you are with us. No matter if we are in jail because of a lie, you are with us. No matter if we are in the palace, you are still with us. We thank you for an expected end. We thank you for these, your people. Be with them in their week. Cause them to change up their monotony. Cause them to switch up their regular and confuse the enemy that so easily wants to beset them. We thank you for clearing the principalities in their atmospheres. We ask that you would cover and hover over them and those that are connected to them. In Jesus' name. I love you, but God loves you more. Have a phenomenal week. By all means, send this to somebody because they need to know. It's time to speak truth to power. You got to get in your mirror and you've got to look at yourself, look deeply at yourself, and speak truth to power. You know who you are. You know who's sitting inside of you, and you know what has not been revealed to the world. That's the part that God wants to do this year. You guys have a phenomenal week. God bless. God be with you. God go before you. God work through you. I love you. Talk to you soon. Okay.